Alright, so today we are here in the shop, like always again. But so when I went out to Vegas, it was, a little bit ago, I ran into the wall, as you can tell how ugly this thing is. And basically my coilover, it just snapped the top of it off. So if you guys are scared to drive hard or do any of that stuff, but it's not the end of the world if you break your coilover. Or, because most of the parts, especially, BC Racing, they sent this out to me right away as soon as I did it. But I was just going to show you real quick how easy it is to replace a coilover just with the cartridge. All you got to do is just kind of bust this guy off. Probably have to...
We make the strings louder.
Alright, so now what I'm doing is I'm just going to measure the height right here to set like the preload and everything, so it's all the same as they were pretty much preset from the factory. It's like 1.5 inches to that, and then on the bottom it's like sticking out a thread. Is what that is. So anyhow, I'll just. Wait a minute, you get bad? Should I just use my
air chisel?
So what I did is it's a little tight in there, and I think it might have got tweaked a little bit, the bottom collar, from doing that. So what I did is I just locked these guys together, and now I'm just going around.
Go across the rug.
The other one, the one that I have on there right now currently, rather than continuing to
probably.
I'm just going to rob that and use the lower off of that other one, the one that's currently on there.
Currently on what?
These ones say VR, but should be the same fucking thing. Alright, so I got it basically all back together. Sorry I didn't film too much of the whole putting it back together, but it's basically just exactly how you take it apart. It's a little 17mm nut on the top right there. Got the preload and everything set where it needs to be in the right length. So yeah, shouldn't take too well. I just basically got to bolt it back on the car. This lower that it went into, I think that got a little tweaked when we did when it actually hit the wall. So I think it just kind of bent it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and order another one of those. But I had the DR series that I had on there for like 2 seasons before. As a backup, that's what I've had on there for a little bit, and yeah, so I just robbed the one off of it. It spun in it really nice. We had to, it was pretty tight getting that one off, so I'm gonna go ahead and order another lower so I could have my backup coils again, so they're easily adjustable. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw this on. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete this this whole big brake kit thing that I got on here. There's these like random brackets that are made. Damn it, I lost my light. So anyhow, there's this aluminum bracket that's on here. It's got like some washers and some spacers and some shit. Jesse, go ahead and push them. So anyhow, it's like pushing it out and like flexing some stuff. Either that or the calipers are just not working, like one side's working and the other's not. But I'm just gonna take them off, and you can see here, yeah. So this side squeaks like crazy, and I just don't like it. My brakes feel like shit. On there, on the very top in here, it's kind of really hard for you guys to see, but it's not using the whole brake pad on it. It's really kind of hard to tell, but yeah, this that's actually the brake pad on top of the rotor, because it's like wore out. Can't really see in there, but I'll show you. And it doesn't use the whole thing anyhow. So the brakes look really good, but I just decided that, you know, I kind of want my brakes to feel a little bit better than they do, because they kind of feel weird. But so I'm going to delete those. I have some just other rotors, just some like stock 240 rotors that are 5 lug that are vented. So I'm just going to throw those on. Well, I did it. I yanked them off, so now we got basically ugly factory brakes on there. Which not too pumped about. They don't, you know, they don't look as good, but they're a hell of a lot lighter, and the brakes feel a little bit better right now. You know, the rotors that I had were brand new. The pads that were with the other calipers are unknown, so I don't know how old they are. They looked kind of new-ish. You know, as far as the depth and stuff, they almost look new, but so I don't know. So I went out and I beat the shit out of them, kind of tried to bet them in. I went to Walmart. They sell K&N filters there. One of my subscribers, or one of you guys, he messaged me. He's like, "There's like a cap, like a little metal cap on the inside of this filter," and he's like, "Dude, he's like, take that thing off there. It's gonna kill your turbo, because it's just gonna suck in." So I got this K&N. I think that's a 3-inch. I hope it's 3-inch. Kind of looks maybe a little bit bigger, but yeah. So I'm gonna try to get that in there. I'm gonna have to kind of bend it down underneath, you know, and it's gonna be a lot longer, but I'll try to make that work, because I like how big that one is. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna work on. Well, I'm gonna mess with that a little bit. If not, not sure. Oh, and I also got some other oil. Got some oil to change oil. I have basically that's the oil that I first put in here. So it's got, you know, probably 4, 5 events on it, dyno pulls, and all that shit. So it's time to change it. All right, so I'm getting ready. Well, 1:50 in the morning. So it's actually a little bit more on time than normal. Bled the rear brakes again. Kind of adjusted that. Adjusted the toe a little bit. I towed it out about an 1/8, not total. It was about a 1/4 towed in the rear, so I did about an 1/8 of an inch of toe in the rear, to maybe give me a little bit more grip, because kind of when you do that, it just kind of scrubs, and it kind of like, you know, already slides, and I don't know. Anyhow, I'm gonna see if I get a little bit more grip that way, especially with the bigger turbo. It's gonna have a little bit more power. I raised the coilovers in the back, just, I mean, maybe 5 mil, just a tad. Adjusted the front a little bit. Basically, before I go to a drift event, well, last night I just changed oil, so it's got about 4 or 5 events on that oil. So now it's got brand new oil in it. I'd love to get underneath the car and go over pretty much all the nuts and bolts. These are really common. The tension rods, those always come loose. I always make sure the tie rod ends are tight, especially under the boots and stuff, because sometimes those wiggle loose. Subframe bolts, motor mount bolts, everything's solid, so it kind of vibrates a little. Definitely these guys in there. Those always come loose. But yeah, just in general, you know, make sure everything's tight. Make sure, you know, there's not any you know, hoses rubbing on anything hot. I went ahead and I re-wrapped my downpipe. I had this kind of shitty, you know, hose going to the wastegate, so you can see that's just some regular like windshield washer hose, and I got some, I think this is 3/16 like fuel line, so it actually will be able to withstand a little bit of heat. It has, you know, some mesh in there, not mesh, but, you know, a little bit better stuff. The bottom of my exhaust manifold bolts, those were actually loose, or the nuts. I wrapped the downpipe like I said, and then what I did, can't really tell, but right there on the wastegate, see if I could zoom in without wiggling, I went ahead and I put red Loctite on that, on the fitting going in there, because basically I looked at it and it was loose when I knew. So I was like, oh shit. And one of my buddies, Derek, at one of the last events, he was on his way up there, and his wastegate, basically that little banjo bolt or that fitting came loose, and you know, at the event, anyhow, overboosted, did a bunch of shit. No fun. So I red Loctited that shit in there because I don't ever need to take it out. Anyhow, you know, but so yeah, red Loctite. So that little, you know, actual boost thing. I really want to pay attention, you know, really make sure that the whole wastegate system on this thing, you know, the boost regulatory system, you know, keeps everything in check. Because if it's not dumping it out that pipe, then it's, you know, we're having a bad day. So, but yeah, so I gotta plug that in up top. I just had it up on the lift and did that. I always go around kind of the little AN fittings and I smell around them, you know, kind of make sure that there's no fuel leaking or vapor or any of that type of stuff on all that stuff. Make sure nothing's hanging down, you know, pretty much in the way. These axles right here, I'm trying to point with my damn headlamp, those nuts right there, normally on the axles, I always check those, always check the drive shaft things, look at all these, twist them a little bit, you know, usually give them a snug, make sure the coilover collars are all tight. That's pretty much it. Make sure everything's tight. A lot of times I don't have you know, I make sure that the axle nut is tight on them, make sure the e-brake and everything's working. Always before I load it on the trailer, I do a really good rip, I do a donut, you know, make sure just everything's super solid, make sure that it's okay with me beating the shit out of it, because, you know, essentially I'm going to go to the event usually the next day and spend a bunch of money on tires and fuel and entry fee and all that stuff to get there, and if I'm, you know, if we figure out something before it goes on the trailer, then that's definitely not going to be good. Last night I installed those guys. Those are pretty, and took off the little ones around there because they're just kind of small. But yeah, it's time to go for a rip, load her on the trailer.